Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. Being that it's very quiet here today, I was thinking that I could share with you a little reading from my book, Polarity of Love. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? So I'll just give you a quick sample, and then if you like it, I can do a little bit more reading. Let us begin. It all made sense on the beach that day. It was like if the ocean had a way with words to tell me I was not really doing anything with my life. I was a divorced single mother to an autistic child, and I really had no life of my own. Everything I did and gave was to help or please others, not so much for my own happiness. Now, don't get me wrong, my son makes me very happy, but after being divorced over 5 years, I felt like I needed adult interaction. I craved going out with friends to get a glass of wine or even on a date, but I never had the time. You should date, Maddie, people would tell me, like if I could. But deep inside, I was still scared. Perhaps I was scared due to my failed marriage and think deep down that all relationships are the same. Or maybe I think every guy I date is going to be secretly gay like my ex. I know, I'm traumatized, but these are things I'm working out in therapy each week. I was just bored with life. I used to love the idea of love and being in love. As a child, I would dream of my Prince Charming coming to carry me away to happily ever after land, but things didn't really turn out that way. Love that I had envisioned as a little girl was now more of a nightmare, where for years I have been unable to wake up from. Let me share a little of my life history so you can get the gist of my story. I come from a Latin family, and at an early age, I started to suffer from debilitating migraines. In 2007, I ended up in the hospital feeling like I was having a stroke. This turned out to be my most traumatizing life event ever. I was given medication to hopefully stop the migraine, and it turned out that my body did not react positively to it. It was stopping my heart. I was dying. At one point, I can remember that I was leaving this earth, walking down a path full of light, what seemed to be a tunnel. Aha! The light at the end of the tunnel. And I was almost there. I could hear in a very far distance the nurse yelling, "Maddie, Maddie, don't do this to me." He would slap my face, and I felt the chest compressions he gave me, but I continued to walk away. However, I don't know when, but I was returned to this world. That experience left me confused and wondering why I was still on this earth, full of thoughts and doubts, and more than anything, a deep depression. In 2011, I went through a horrible divorce, and my depression worsened, and my whole being kept asking the same question: what am I still doing on this earth? I could not function. I was now divorced with a 6-year-old child to care for alone, and I had no desire to do so. There was always something missing from my life, and I could never figure out what I was doing or supposed to do with my life. I felt lost in a world full of fear and doubt. A few years after my divorce, I felt like the universe started smiling down at me. Strangely, I started to feel other people's energy. I seriously thought I was going crazy. The feelings were overwhelming and scary at the same time. I knew with a text or an email how a person was feeling, if sad, happy, sick, or even if I could like them. I would just feel it. I thought I was making all of this up in my head, but the truth is, I could not lie to myself about what I felt on the inside. People could never understand me and thought I was crazy, but it was happening. Everything vibes or moves in such a way that it's hard to deny or ignore. You can just feel it. I felt like a different human being, renewed to the extent where life excited me again, and the daydreaming little girl that was left behind reappeared. Since that day, I set my focus to better my world, dedicating myself to my son, my health, and just work on clearing things up in my head like if they were golden cobwebs ready to be spun on the spindle of life.